Hey everybody, Catherine with Gracefilled Table, and it is time. It's time to get ready for a easy but amazing holiday entertaining dinner. So if you have seen this menu, we've actually got 2 menus on here. And what we're gonna do in our time together is we're actually gonna split it up into 3 sections. So we're gonna do section 1 is going to be all of your day ahead prep. So everything that you can get done to save your sanity day of is gonna be coming first, okay? And then we're gonna move on to day of cooking. So that's just gonna be a little bit of time before serving, and then we will move to serving. Okay, so we've got those 3 sections, and then we're gonna do that from the first menu. So here we go. We're gonna do raspberry habanero cheese board, holiday salad with balsamic, prosciutto and herb chicken, scallop potatoes, caramelized Brussels sprouts, pear and pomegranate crisp for dessert with ice cream or vanilla whipped cream if you want that, and then a holiday pear sangria. So it sounds like a lot, but it all is very well paired and coordinated, and I'm here to help. I'm here to make it easy for you, here to make it awesome and enjoyable and take the stress out of what you need to do. So find the description, okay? In there's a little link where you can sign up to get the full menu, okay? When I say full menu, it's gonna not only give you the actual recipes, but it's gonna give you those day-by-day steps. It's gonna give you the shopping list. It's gonna give you the steps for all of our meal prep, steps for cooking day of, steps for after, maybe some extra tips and ideas and tips for using your leftovers if you have any, and then we'll go from there. So before we get started, I just want to let you know this meal that we're going to do and prep is for 6. So if you need more, if you need less, obviously adjust your quantities up and down, and that'll be well documented for you, in your meal plan. And but I will say a lot of this, even if you're not serving 6, will make great leftovers for you. And so it would save you another extra day of cooking as well. So I might even go as far to say that pear and pomegranate crisp might be okay for breakfast. So anyways, we're gonna get started. I'm gonna grab ingredients for step 1 of our little journey for our first meal, our chicken and prosciutto meal, and we will get going. All right, everybody, it's time to get ready to do our meal prep. So here's the couple things that we're gonna do. You can see actually over here, I've started to gather plates, forks, knives. So if you don't have anything the night before, you'll notice over there's not enough. I don't know, maybe you can't see that far. But I know there's not enough because the rest are in the dishwasher, but I know by leaving them out, it's one less thing I have to be thinking about remembering. And so I've got things there. We've got some stuff started for sangria. So just kind of gathering those ingredients. You'll see over here, I've got fruit, and we're gonna need all that fruit either in this stage or tomorrow, day of cooking. And so the more things for me that I can mentally kind of get out of the way, cross off my list, the easier it is to just cook and enjoy the process of cooking. So we're gonna get going, and here are the few things that we're gonna start with. We're gonna do the pear and pomegranate crisp, and I'm choosing to do this actually in a pie plate, only because it matches. It matches this one, and you don't have to be matchy. I'm simply choosing to be matchy. And so we're gonna do the scalloped potatoes in here, and I am gonna do a lot because the leftovers are amazing. They're amazing for brunch. You could throw ham in there. You could have them as lunch leftovers. They will refreeze for you. And so for me, more is better on that particular dish. This one is going to be dessert, and after you've had a massive dinner, although dessert always is amazing and you want huge, seems like maybe you would like a large portion. I never do, like smaller is better. And so I'm going to use this for dessert. In this little pan on the stove, I've actually got butter already melting to make the crisp topping for our dessert. And then the next pieces we're gonna do are, we're gonna get our Brussels sprouts ready. And now if you don't like Brussels sprouts, you could switch these out, okay? Asparagus would work, green beans would work. Switch out for what you like. But I'm gonna show you Brussels sprouts. And so with those Brussels sprouts, you've got bacon, you've got cranberries. And so one of the things I'm also doing is here's the cranberries. We won't need these until cooking day, but they're already ready to go. I buy big bags at Costco, so even just getting it out in a little prep bowl helps me a lot. Okay, and then the next thing we're gonna do is get the bacon going. And so for that vegetable side, getting the bacon done ahead of time, having the cranberries ready, it's all we'll need to do for prep. And then we're gonna move on to our chicken and our potatoes. So I'm gonna tip you down, okay? And here we go. This is it's a stone, you guys. This one's been around for a while. You can see these dark edges. It's not because it's bad. I like to talk about stone like wine, okay? Gets better with time. The darker stoneware gets, the more nonstick the finish is. And so you actually don't need any type of nonstick, oil or additive. We also are doing bacon, which as you know is super greasy. And so we won't need any type of cooking oil on this pan. But I like to bake this. Why? Because I can get this all laid out on here. I can throw this in the oven. And this does not need to be perfect, but I will show you if you really want to be fancy, twist your bacon. We're not going to need all of this, and that's okay. So this is 2 pounds, and I'm 1 pan will be more than enough. Although I will say if you absolutely love bacon, or if bacon helps your children to eat more vegetables, I say go for it. Also, I feel like you can't go wrong with having this. I also, any leftovers or whatever we don't use, I'll actually throw in a Ziploc in the freezer, because then when I make things that need bacon crumbles or, throw them in soups or things like that, I don't have to redo this process. I just make a bunch. So this is messy, and that's okay, because we are going to, just gonna set this over here. We're gonna crumble this up anyway into small chunks. And so we don't need it to be super fancy. You can do this method for bacon for, if you're doing breakfast. I love that you can make so much at once. And I'm gonna put this in the oven, and then that's it. That will bake. And while that's baking, we're gonna get the rest of this stuff done. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do our chicken. And so what you need for that is you'll need chicken breast. It's ideal if it's not super frozen. If it is, you'll be okay. You'll just need to use a really good knife. So either like a utility knife or a, this one is one of my favorites as well, a Santoku knife. I never know how to say that. And then we need some sort of a sheet pan. So grab that. Okay, so this is just a metal sheet pan. We're not actually gonna cook the chicken. We're just prepping it and then gonna put it in the fridge. So the other things you're gonna need are, you'll need your chicken breast, you need your prosciutto, and then you're gonna need your garlic and herb cheese. So you could choose to do something like this, which is kind of a spreadable. A lot of people will have this with crackers, or you could choose something more down the cream cheese line. Either one will work great. And then you choose the quantity again based on, how many people that you are having. So, all right, it's time to get messy. And here we go. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do, I've got 2 cutting boards here because I'm doing raw meat, and then I'm gonna obviously just put that in the wash and I'll be able to continue to work. So trim your chicken breasts. Best that you, whatever you see fit in terms of that. And then what we wanna do with these is you're gonna slice them this long way. So go like this, whatever that, curl your fingers so you don't cut the edges off of your fingers. We do not want to cut them all the way through. This is what you would call like butterflying them, okay? And then I'm just gonna lay them open on the pan for now while we go ahead and finish the rest. So because these are going to be served like a whole chicken breast, you know, you do want to make sure they're nice and basically trimmed and ready to serve as soon as they're done baking. So I'm just going to trim them a little more than I would if I was doing, you know, soups or something like that. Oftentimes for that I'll trim afterwards, but this one you do want to trim them well. So this is another, also you can freeze these like this and then bake them ahead of time. So depending on how far ahead you would like to meal prep this, or if you really enjoy this and want to make this again, you absolutely could just make a bunch of it because it is messy. And then throw it in your freezer for dinner parties or just any other dinner night, okay? So we're just stacking them up there because we're going to stuff them and wrap them. It's kind of like a gift, you guys. Okay, trim this one just a tiny bit more. These are very, very large chicken breasts. So I will say, even though I'm gonna serve one per person, you may not need an entire one, but what we are going to do, I do encourage you to bake them, or if you want to grill, these are awesome on the grill as well. Leave them as large as you can for the cooking process. And then if you want to cut them down for serving, you absolutely can cut them in half at that, you know, before you serve. Okay, so there we go. We've got them all butterflied. All right, and so now what we're gonna do is grab our cheese. Okay, and you're not gonna reuse this because you're touching raw meat, right? All of that cross-contamination. So what I like to tell you is don't waste any. This is good stuff, okay? And just because I'm a little bit, I'm just gonna simply cut this because we're doing 6 into 6 portions, okay? And then we're just basically going to take one per chicken breast, okay? And we're going to spread it out. You can either use your knife or just kind of your fingers. You're already messy. And then we're gonna fold it in half. I'm gonna set them back here. Okay, rinse and repeat. You just wanna put that throughout. Okay, and this one is didn't cut super well, but we will, when we wrap that with the prosciutto, we'll be okay there as well. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect because as it bakes, that cheese is going to kind of, it'll move and melt a little bit. So mostly I just like to stuff them in the middle. It will be ooey and gooey and delicious. Okay, that one. Okay. And then there is our last one. So there's our 6. All right, I'm just gonna clear this, be right back. All right, now we are ready, cleaned up, ready to wrap our chicken. Before I do that though, I'm gonna go ahead and salt and pepper these. You don't need a whole lot. You could even do without the pepper. I just like to add a little bit more flavor to them. Okay, and then if you've never used prosciutto before, there's usually a little spot where you can peel. All right, okay, so there we are ready to go. And prosciutto is very delicate. So what I like to do is gently pull it apart. Okay, and then I'm just gonna lay them like on each piece of chicken for right now while I work to get them all apart before my fingers get messy again. And this as well, like we're going to do one piece of this prosciutto per chicken breast. But if you really love prosciutto, you could absolutely add more. If you don't have prosciutto and would rather do bacon, you could do the same with bacon as well. Okay, and so this is messy. Okay, we're just gonna go like this. Grab another one. Okay, and we got one more piece. I hope you're cooking along with me and your prosciutto is taking just as long to peel. Okay, so there we go. We got 6 there. And now we're basically, it's just a wrap. You're just gonna wrap this chicken breast in the prosciutto as tightly as you can. So open it back up and wrap. That's it, very simple. If it doesn't quite fit around, these chicken breasts are very large. I would encourage you to go more for presentation where you have that prosciutto on the top. It's also going to be crispier. So if you want to, like this one, I'm going to flip this one. It's a little nicer on the top. We're just going to wrap around, but it'll get nice and crunchy and crispy as it bakes. And if your prosciutto does go all the way around, and even further, just wrap it around and around. It's kind of like the bow, right? Okay, this one, we're gonna improvise, you guys. Look at that. We're just gonna go like this. Okay. It is really falling apart on me here. Okay, I got an extra piece and I'm just gonna stick under there. Okay, so there's our chicken breast. At this point, we're gonna cover this with foil. Wash your hands and then cover this with foil. And this is gonna go in your fridge, or if you're gonna freeze it. So if you're gonna freeze it, I would recommend a foil, disposable pan, double foil. But in terms of putting in the freezer for your meal tomorrow, I'm just gonna wrap with foil and it's going right in the fridge. So, all right, I'm gonna get this cleaned up and then we are gonna wrap up it's time for potatoes. Okay, everybody, it is scalloped potato time. And just a reminder, don't forget to check your bacon, okay? I just checked mine, it's not quite done yet, but don't forget, okay? So scalloped potato, again, I'm gonna do this this is a 9x13. You could do it in a 9x13 or a 9x9, and so you're just gonna kind of adjust, proportionally. But remember, this is really great. As leftovers, refreeze, throw it in ham, do it for breakfast with eggs. So it'll get eaten. So this is relatively simple. In terms of prep, we're going to make it almost like a lasagna, okay? It's potatoes, obviously, onions, and then we have a cheese sauce that we're gonna make. And so we're gonna do half the potatoes and onions on the bottom of our pan. We're gonna do half the cheese sauce, and then the other half on top with a little extra bonus cheese. Bake, and this actually, it's easier and gets better, I think, when it's prepared the day before, cooked the next day. It's not difficult to make it, it's gonna take us a touch of time. So I'm gonna tip you down again. Here we go. Okay, so I've got my little mandolin here. If you guys don't have one of these, you do not need one. You definitely can just use a knife. But what I love about a mandolin or any type of a slicing tool is the consistency that you get from, the cut. So this one in particular has 3 options. This is the Pampered Chef mandolin, rapid prep mandolin. It's got a flat cut and 2 French fry cuts. And then this dial on the bottom, the 1 to 8, will actually adjust your thickness, 1 obviously, to 8. And so I've picked a flat cut and we're at a 3. So we're relatively thin. We're going for about 1/8 of an inch on your cut. So nothing goes in the chute except food, and this little plunger will help. It's just a very simple up and down. This is about what we get here. So I could probably go down 1, but I am just gonna leave consistently And then I'm just gonna alternate between the Yukons and the reds every other cut. Whew, a little wild and crazy. Okay, so what I'm looking for here is, I've cut 8 potatoes, so I'm gonna do half and half, right? We said that. All right, okay, so this is the potatoes finished, and I'm just gonna dump in the pan. And then, I think you can see that. We're just gonna arrange these in so they're flat. And they do not need to be any more special than just not a hill. Okay, and then I'm gonna do the onions. And so I've done the same. I've got 1 yellow onion cut in half, and I'm just gonna put that right in there. And this is still the flat cut, but obviously because of the layers of the onion, cuts a little bit differently. I'm gonna pull this part out just because consistency. We went with that earlier, right? Okay, and then we're gonna take this and we're just gonna put those on top. Okay, so that's ready to go. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm actually just gonna cut the rest of everything really quick, and then we'll do the cheese sauce. Okay, so I'm actually gonna do onions on the bottom this time. So when I dump, onions are on the top. Okay, any large slices I'm just gonna pull out. Okay, that one's a little bit large for the mandolin, so I'm just gonna trim a tiny bit. There we go. All right. Okay, I'm gonna keep all those in there. I'm gonna clean up. Just gonna set that to the side. Okay, so that is the first part. Now it's time to make our sauce. So on the stove, I've got, this is this is butter. Okay, and we're just gonna make this right here together, and then I'll go ahead and re-warm it. All right, so melted butter in here. We're gonna go ahead and press a couple cloves of garlic. If you don't have, whoops, garlic press, you certainly can just use pre-minced garlic. So go there. Okay, and sometimes on this, you'll see there's plenty of garlic that gets stuck on the outside, so I'm just gonna pull that out. Okay, remove the extra skin there. So this, you can see I'm actually just putting this in skin and all. I'm not peeling it in any way. Okay, mincing there. Okay, I can pull just the rest of the actual garlic out. And then there's the peel that goes in the garbage. So one of my favorite things about this particular tool is that I never actually have to touch garlic, and I don't have stinky hands for a while. But if you do, fun little trick, coffee grounds, like used coffee grounds, use them as a hand scrub. Typically will take care of the smell. So I always love that when I can reuse those. So I'm gonna throw this back on the stove, and we're going to, you you're gonna cook the garlic just a tiny bit. You're gonna smell it. It's gonna smell fragrant. And then we're gonna add our flour into here and whisk, and we'll be back. All right, we are back, and you can see here how that garlic has started to brown. You are gonna be doing this on your stove, but in the interest of following along the best, here we are. And so you're gonna add flour, just kind of bit by bit. And make sure you're following your recipe just for measurements. I know I'm not being real specific on them. Okay. All right, and so this is what's now called a, well, it would be a garlic roux because we've got garlic in here. Where you've got your flour and your butter and your garlic. And then the next thing we're gonna add is our milk. And you'll wanna do a pretty full fat milk on this. Skim milk is, although it will work, it will be very watery instead of saucy. Will make a difference. And so at least when you're starting out with this, you wanna add just bits, a little bit of milk at a time, mix it through, and especially when you're still on heat, that process is gonna go faster. What will happen if you do it all at once is that your sauce will get really lumpy. That was a funny way to say that. It's not funny. Nobody likes lumpy sauce. And so once you kind of get going and that milk starts to work through the flour, you can move a little bit faster, but you just want to make sure all your flour is really incorporated into your sauce. Okay, so there we go. There's our sauce. This will get warmed back through. And then what we're going to do is add cheeses. And so you can choose whether you want to, grate your own cheese or you want to purchase the cheese. I've actually got a little bit of both here. So here's ones that I grated. And those are just going to get added into this sauce, mixed really well. And I've got this Parmesan. Okay, so that's going to go into your, and then you're also going to add in all your seasonings. And again, you're going to be doing this on your stovetop. So we've got time because, bad joke, I always think everyone needs time, more time. This is a little bit of mustard, dry mustard in this case, and then paprika. Yummy. This is what really makes this this sauce shine, in my opinion. Okay, and then last but not least, you will not want to forget salt and pepper. And this will be a little bit to taste, but as you know, potatoes are a little bit bland, they're not seasoned well. Okay, so as you're doing this on your stove, you're just going to be cooking and whisking as you go. And then we are gonna finish our dish. All right, we have got our sauce ready, and look at this. It is, as you are seeing, and when you make this, it is ooey and gooey and cheesy. So about half of this, we are gonna pour over the bottom layer. Okay, and if it's not perfect, I would err on the side of less on this particular time, because whatever we pour on the top is obviously going to go. You're gonna spread it out just a little bit. Okay, and it's kind of seeping around. And then we're gonna add our top layer. Oofda. Potatoes and onions. Here we go. I'm just gonna spread those out pretty evenly again. So make sure you don't have a clump of onions in the corner. Nobody likes that. I'm gonna pull out any of the onions that are just not as finely shred. That is just more due to, people's preferences. I know that onions, for some, they don't care for large chunks, so I like to try to keep them as thin as possible. Okay, and now we're gonna just add the rest of the sauce to the top. Don't waste any, okay? Okay, just gonna spread it out a little bit. Okay, and then that is it. It is simply going to, basically you're gonna soak this overnight and then we're gonna bake it cooking day. The one thing I will tell you, depending on the depth of your pan, when you foil this, if we are going to bake it with some foil on, and so if the foil by any chance would touch the potatoes, either spray it with cooking spray or butter it, you know, like I'll just even take this and just rub it on the back of the foil, buttered or grease side down, because you don't want to have this all kind of pull up, right, when we take that foil off for cooking. So that is a little trick there with foiling your pan, but you're going to go ahead and foil this, throw it in your fridge with your chicken. And we've got one more thing before we are all done with our prep. All right, friends, we're back to our very last meal prep item. This has been a lot of work, but cooking day, so probably tomorrow, these can be so easy for you, right? Those potatoes are gonna go in the oven, and about 45 minutes later, that chicken's gonna go in the oven, and then you're gonna finish, we're gonna finish the Brussels sprouts, and throw the salad together, and it's all gonna be done. The appetizer will also do that. And then as you eat, your dessert is going to bake. So it's also nice and organized and ready to go. So it is worth, I think, a little bit of prep time earlier. So whether it is the day before, the evening before, maybe even 2 days before, it just makes the day of having company and entertaining a lot more enjoyable when it's not super, super stressful. Okay, so without further ado, the pear and pomegranate crisp is so great, so seasonal, awesome for Christmas. It's got that green, that red, I love it. This one you can go ahead and change up a little bit as well. Like once you learn my topping, crumble topping, you can apply it to pretty much any fruit. But I do like to do the pear and pomegranate because it is very seasonal, but it's also gonna tie really nicely with our sangria. So you're gonna love that. So here we go, okay? You're gonna need a bowl, and then remember when I said that we had that butter melting? Okay, so here it is, all melted, okay? And I've got that ready to go. Oven off, okay, and then your recipe is gonna call for brown sugar. Fun fact, I don't really buy brown sugar, I just make it as I need it on the go, and it's simply, white sugar, plain sugar, and molasses. So there we go. And then we're actually gonna add a little bit of vanilla into this topping as well. Vanilla, that's an optional piece. You also could change it up in this particular recipe. I like to use almond if I'm doing like a cherry cobbler, and then sprinkle with sliced almonds. So mix this as you go. And then we're gonna do our flour. And if you need gluten-free options, just sub out your gluten-free flour for whatever that particular flour sub ratio is to your document. Okay, we're gonna mix that. And it's a crumble, crisp, so it does not need to be perfect. I like to just do it in a simple bowl that I'm gonna put in the fridge. We're not gonna dirty anything extra. And then we're gonna add in our oats. Mix that up, and then that is it. So this topping is gonna go ahead, once it's completely mixed. The butter was pretty melted and warm. If you want a better arm workout, you could do it just at room temperature. I just like to do it this way, it's a little bit faster. And I'm gonna put it back in the fridge anyway, until it's time for us to do a day of cooking. So put a lid on your bowl or use, wrap of some sort. This goes in the fridge. And then guys, this wraps up our meal prep of the first menu, the chicken menu, the sangria. You could make that the full day before, the evening before. It's a fine wine. It really actually is fine wine. It sits longer, but right, you're gonna get more of those integrated flavors the longer it sits. So we're gonna start the next segment with the sangria, but if you wanna just get more done ahead of time, I would go ahead and get that done next, and then we'll finish with the rest of cooking day segment 2. So awesome. Great work, everybody. Reminder, if you are jumping in and you do not know what I'm talking about, this is the menu we're working through. There are details and a link in the description of the video to show you exactly where to click so you can get that document so you can follow along and cook this meal for your family, friends, neighbors, whoever you choose to bless this holiday season. So, okay, we'll see you in just a minute for segment 2. All right, friends, you have survived meal prep for your big event. It's going to be amazing. You're going to love it. Your guests are going to be so blessed by that work that you put in to prepping that food ahead of time, because you're going to enjoy today. You're going to enjoy cooking, and this is isn't it an easy plan to follow? I hope that you love it. So you'll find in your document at this point, it's going to list out on cooking day kind of how much time everything is going to take. And basically it is going to show you step by step what happens when, okay? So it is done for you. Easy to do, going to kind of tell you what to do when, so you don't even have to think about that. So got all that lined up for you. And the first thing that we're going to do today, cooking day. And again, remember in our last segment, we said if you choose to do this night before, you absolutely can. So we're going to make our sangria. It's pear and pomegranate, okay? Just grab this. The pear and pomegranate is going to tie super nicely into everything that we're doing. It's going to tie into the salad. It's going to tie in, even to like the Brussels sprouts, the dessert, everything. It's all tied together super nicely. Makes it really, really easy for you. So I'm going to show you a fun little trick on how to actually, cut and get the seeds out of like a real pomegranate. You can buy these store-made, or the little containers where they've already taken the seeds out, store-made, right? They're not store-made. They're just seeded for you. Either one works. It's super easy. So here we go on the sangria. I'm going to we're going to get up to the point. The only thing we're not going to add into the sangria is the ice and this ginger ale. Okay, any ginger ale works, but you're going to just basically add that right before serving, or even if you choose to serve it in the glasses and just add, each glass at a time, you can do that as well. Okay, so we're going to get going here. Okay, we got a little bit of prep here. We got a lot of things going on. First thing we're going to do, you need a pitcher, and we're going to slice our fruit. And you kind of choose what you want. And if you want to do extra fruit for garnish, absolutely go ahead. This would be the time to do it, and just put it into a container for later. So I always like to use a pitcher that has some sort of catch at the end, especially when I'm doing sangria, because you guys if you haven't had it personally happen, you have seen, when somebody serves something out of a pitcher and it all comes flying out. Well, that's what we're wanting to avoid here. So that is why I like to find those types of pitchers. And they're not expensive. You just have to kind of look for that specific kind. Okay, so this is one orange, one pear that we're slicing. And then if you choose to do the extra for garnish on the individual glasses, I would cut that all right now at the same time, because then you're done with that piece. And again, adjust the recipe for this sangria to the number of guests that you have. So there's your pitcher. Now, in terms of seeding this, we're just gonna make some cuts along the top. I'm gonna do about 5. You can see it's already, this is a juicy one. Okay, once that's cut all the way around, you can take this little knobby and just, kind of very carefully, you're just gonna seed like that. Then on the inside, it's gonna look a little bit like an orange where you've got almost like segments. And so you're gonna find those segments and you're just gonna cut down. And so you want about 1/2 of a pomegranate on this, but just for the sake of time, those segments are gonna pull right out for you. Okay, and look at all those seeds are right there. Okay, so you're just gonna pull those off and drop them right into your sangria. You can see there another one. The little flesh on the white, you just kind of peel that out. The seeds, you know, they just fall off really easily. If you don't like this whole idea and you would rather just buy this, you know, with store seeded, then by all means, you absolutely can do that as well. These are fun to put in glasses, you know, for serving as well. What I like to do though often is I'll just, once I've got this cut open, I'll grab what I need and I just kind of put the rest in a bowl, and they kind of loosen up as they're out, you know, kind of after you've cut it. Okay, so for sake of, you add as many pomegranates as you would like to your sangria. And clean that up really fast, and our pitcher as well. Okay, so there's everything we've got in there. Whoops, excuse me. The next thing we're gonna add is, this is a spiced rum. And if you are concerned about sweetness on this, you can add a little bit of maple syrup to sweeten it up a little bit, but you may want to let it sit and try it first before you add that. And then I'm going to add, this is a Sauvignon Blanc, very fancy. I have a friend that's a wine expert, and so I'm always checking with her on the best recipes. It's got this handy little wine opener. It's got a stand with a foil cutter, and then this, we're just going to push. There's just a button here. Just gonna pull that cork right out for us, and we're gonna release the cork. Okay, wine is open, and then we're gonna go ahead and just add that into our pitcher. And that is it. So this is not going to be super full, because remember, before we serve, we're going to add ice into here, and then you're going to add some ginger ale as well. But that's your sangria all done. Now it goes in the fridge, and then when you are ready to serve, you just grab it right at the last minute. Okay, so in terms of cooking now, cooking, your oven gets to go on next. The potatoes will take the longest. They take about an hour and a half, so plan accordingly for that. But those are gonna go in first. About 45 minutes later, we're gonna get that chicken in, and then we're gonna just keep cooking today the rest of our menu. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the fridge, and I'm gonna stick the potatoes in the oven, and then we are gonna get going. Okay, we're back on cooking day. So I went ahead and grabbed a saucepan, and in here I've got butter and bacon. Remember that bacon we made? This just crumbles right up. Isn't that awesome? And it is just gonna sit on the stove until it is time to do the Brussels. So we're gonna assemble our dessert, and then that's gonna go in the fridge to bake at a later time. And then we're gonna move back to just cutting and prepping those sprouts. Potatoes are in the oven. Chicken will be going in about 30 more minutes. And at that point, you should be we're on the home stretch. We're on the home stretch, you guys. So in terms of making our pear and pomegranate crisp, pulling that pomegranate back in again. So remember, we're reusing this pie plate or whatever you choose to use. In terms of serving, I just like to pick things, A, that cook well, and B, that serve well. In terms of presentation, I don't need to transfer or anything like that. So I went ahead and cut up the pears already, and slice them, put them in here. And then we are just going to make kind of a mixture to go over the top of them. And then remember, we've got, here it is, our topping that we made during our little session 1 of meal prep that we're gonna put on the top. Okay, I like to get the dessert out of the way because then when everything's kind of last minute, you know, either taking to table or plating, the dessert is just an absolute super easy grab out of the fridge, throw it in the oven. You know, you don't have to think too much about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and tip you guys down again. Yes, so here we go. We've got our pears here, and then we got a little bowl that we're gonna do some mixing in. And so this is pomegranate juice, and I'm just gonna pour that in there. Okay, and then we're gonna add in, this is flour, okay, and sugar, gonna mix this. Okay, and then as for our seasoning, I'm gonna use this Cinnamon Plus. It's an awesome, awesome kind of done for you blend. It's got cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, orange peel, cloves, and ginger. So it screams all things holiday to me. And when you're mixing this, you just kind of want to make sure any of these flour like chunks, I just kind of bring them over to the side and squish them so that they're not as, you know, we don't have those chunks going in. And so then we're gonna go ahead and add our, I did not pre-measure this, but check your document. We've got about a little bit of that, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. And because I really love that orange, the flavor in this, and also it ties in really nicely to the sangria. Remember, we put the orange slices right in there. I'm gonna go ahead and add some extra zest. So here's my zester, super easy. You don't need a lot because the peels of fruits are, especially citrus fruits, are very potent. Okay, so I'm just gonna, you can see a whole bunch of it right there. I'm just gonna use my knife and scrape it into the bowl. And grab that as well, mix this up. Okay, and then this is just gonna pour right over the top of our pears. Okay, so I'm gonna use this spoon just to kind of do it in a little slower method, so it doesn't all just drop to the bottom immediately. And this, you know, by all means as well, if you want to make a massive 9 by 13 even of this pear, it really would be awesome as leftovers as well. All right, so there's that part. And then I'm just gonna wipe that. Okay, and then we're adding our topping. Okay, so very easy. You want it to be, we're gonna spread it out in just a minute, but I'm gonna go ahead and get, so I made enough of the topping yesterday to make probably double this amount. And we're just gonna see how it goes. And if it is too, if I have leftover, well, it can go in a freezer bag and be frozen for later date. It can, we can make this again. You know, it'll keep in the fridge for a couple days for you. Okay, so you're just gonna kind of smush that down. We are gonna go ahead and cover this with foil. So when we bake this, you're looking at, just to estimate your time, about probably 30 to 40 minutes. And so half of that time you really wanna have with foil. So, you know, plan accordingly. You're gonna cover with foil, you're gonna bake for about 15 to 20 minutes with the foil, and then you're gonna remove the foil and it'll just crisp out the topping for you right before you serve. So I like to go ahead and, you know, do most of the baking and even just shut the oven off, let it sit in the hot oven while we eat. And then it's not crazy hot, but it is ready to serve and makes it easy. So there is your crisp, and that will go in your fridge until you're ready to bake, but now it's finished and ready to go. The next thing we're gonna move on to is cutting, prepping our Brussels. All right, just finishing prepping the Brussels. So I like to cut the bottom off and then cut them in half. Then you can even just peel the outer skin off of them. By doing that, this part of the Brussels, the inside, the cut part, is gonna just caramelize so nicely for you on your pan. And you just determine in terms of your, you know, your guests, how many sprouts you think is a good amount. And a reminder on this part that, you know, if you, oh, that one's yucky. you can choose to sub this out for any other green. So this is finished now. The only other thing I'm gonna have ready is the maple syrup. That's gonna go on just before cooking. And then remember, we've got cranberries that'll go on just before serving. So this will just set on the stove until it's time to prepare that. And then we're gonna go ahead, I'm gonna set these two items over here. So everything is together and ready to go, which is awesome. Okay, the next thing we've got, we're gonna do our appetizer. And this one is great to get done ahead of time as well, a little bit ahead of time, because it can sit in the fridge. And then when your guests arrive, you can just get it out. They can, you know, kind of have that as they wish. So you get to have some fun with this one. I have this cute little platter that I found. And so you've got your goat cheese, your raspberry habanero sauce. And then the other thing we're gonna add is some pistachios. We're gonna chop those and add those to the top. Okay. We are going to serve those with crackers. These are really crisp crackers, and they work really well if you're just gonna have, you know, this available for your guests to enjoy, you know, kind of the sangria, the appetizers, as you're maybe getting the rest of the food ready. And so here we go on this part. So with any luck, and this is just a plain goat cheese. And if goat cheese is not your thing, you definitely could sub out cream cheese and do the same thing with cream cheese. Okay, so I'm gonna set this one here, but I am gonna go ahead and kind of fill this little platter. You could use a plate. You kind of, basically you wanna have it flat so that as people use their cracker, you know, they're able to just, you know, they're not gonna get massive amount of cheese. And the peel, hard to tell. Okay, and we'll just do the second one here. Often the stores will carry, at least in plain goat cheese, you can get one that's longer. But this is a good amount for kind of, I would say, you know, this amount for 4 to 6. Not doing a lot of apps because you've got that awesome meal coming, but just something that they can have. So we'll just fill this up. It does not have to be perfect at all. Okay, so there we go. And then we are gonna go ahead and we're gonna take this raspberry habanero sauce, and I'm gonna call this drench. We are gonna drench this. It's got a little bit of a kick to it, but it's not overwhelming, terrible. We're just gonna basically fill that up. And then I'm gonna take this chopper and we're gonna do some pistachios. You don't need a ton. Okay, chop those up. And then you're just gonna sprinkle these on the top. Add more if you need. And then that's it, you guys. This is your app done. You can obviously get a clean serving for when you are serving, but that's it. Simple app. And that, look at that. You've got that done. So next thing we're gonna do is the salad. We're gonna throw that together super fast. And then basically it's just waiting for the potatoes and the chicken to finish, and you're gonna do the Brussels sprouts. Those will take you about 10 to 15 minutes. So reminder, your potatoes need about 60 to 90 minutes, and your chicken's gonna take about 40 to 45. Your Brussels sprouts are gonna be like that last 15-ish minutes. And so getting all this stuff done so it's literally serve or have it ready on your table is amazing. So we will, let's grab our salad stuff and we'll get that part done next. All right, it's salad time. So after you have got the app finished in the fridge, it's time to throw your salad together and get that in the, I like to get it in the fridge ahead of time. So again, right, it's just really easy to serve when you have guests. So went with a bit bigger bowl, greens, obviously. We've got pears and green apples. And then I'm gonna add some, we're gonna add some cranberries. Because we're also adding cranberries in other parts of our meal. Okay, and then I'm also gonna add some walnuts, and you can change this up. Any type of nuts would be awesome. Candied pecans are great. And so there is your salad. It is so simple, but it's simple on purpose. There's no cheese in it. You can add cheese if you'd like, but because the potatoes have so much cheese, we're kind of overdoing it on cheese already. And then in terms of serving this, you've got a couple choices. I like to do either a balsamic glaze, which is really, really easy to just buy store-bought, or if you have an oil and vinegar store anywhere near you, this is a pomegranate balsamic vinegar. It's really great. They, I know, also have a pear cranberry one. Either of those choices go really awesome on this salad, and so I would just, plate and drizzle, or allow people to choose from their options as well. So that is it for salad. You've got your appetizer done, your salad is done, your potatoes are in the oven, chicken's going in, Brussels will take just a minute, sangria is done, and your dessert just goes in at the end. So that is it, you guys, for cooking day. I hope that this has been enjoyable for you. After this session, we'll go ahead and just show the cooking, the finished products, some pictures of our finished products that I think you're really gonna love. And I would absolutely love for you to share those as well. Find me on social, Grace-Filled Table on all social channels. Share what you've made, comment below, and then also just check the links below for future information. So I really appreciate you jumping in. If you've loved this menu and want to do another holiday menu that looks similar to this, holiday meal 2, on the plan is all centers around a beef tenderloin, and so another sangria but with red wine, lots of garlic, lots of herbs around that beef tenderloin, and some mashed potatoes, asparagus. Again, everything is customizable, flexible to your specific eating preferences and the preferences of your guests, but I sure hope that this menu just blesses you this holiday season, and you can have an amazing dinner at home, done for you plan, and save some money even by not eating out for those meals, and just lingering at the table with the people that you love the most. So thanks again for joining, and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everybody.